My name is Bill Bernart, and today is the 19th of July, 2007. This interview is taking place at the Barrier Island Center in Machipongo, and my guest today is Mrs. Virginia Milliner, who was raised on the island, Chincoteague Island. We have something in common, folks. We share the same birthday, but neither one of us are going to tell you which year. And I had the privilege of taking care of members of her family in decades gone by. Virginia, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your parents and how they got to the island, or what they did on the island.
My parents, my mother was not born on the island, but my father was born on the island. But my mother's father and mother separated, and she went away with some kind of band, religious band, and so she had a brother on Chincoteague. So her father moved her with her brother. So she stayed with her brother until she met my father. And then my father related this to us, that she was getting up in a horse and carriage one day, and he said that she had the prettiest ankle that he had ever seen.
And what was your father's name?
My father's name was Mordecai Andrews.
Mordecai.
Mordecai.
Andrews.
Mordecai, the Bible, you know. Mm-hmm.
Well, I really don't, but I mean, I remember the name, but.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And and my mother, when they were married, they moved right beside my grandmother, and that's where I was born, in the home,
Mm-hmm.
in my home.
In the house, yeah, long before the hospitals.
Oh yes, oh yes, yes, yes. They related to me that it was so cold then there that the channel was blocked, and that it was so cold they couldn't get the house warm. So my grandmother, she was a granny, you know, so she takes me into the kitchen to the wood stove and opens the oven door, and that's where she bathed me because it was so warm. And I weighed 12 pounds when I was born.
My gracious. So you were born on a cold day, January the 24th.
That's right.
I guess it would have been a cold day.
That's right.
Right. And what did your dad do? What sort of work was he involved in?
He was in the Coast Guard for 30-some years, and loved every minute of it. And after he retired, they had a hunt club up at Pope's Island. That was up on the Merlin side. The Coast Guard station was up on the Merlin side.
What was the name of the island?
Pope's Island.
P-O-P? P-O-P?
P-O-P-E-S.
Right.
Pope's Island. And he used to, his day, sometimes if he had time, he would go over there and cook for the hunting club. So after he retired, they came several times to stand to see him, which was so very nice. That he got very fond of them, and they did of him.
Now, was in his Coast Guard years, you must have heard some stories about either shipwrecks or rescues that were unusual and exciting. Can you tell us anything about those stories?
I was telling these people here, you know, he walked the beach, and they walked a certain mile, and they struck a clock, and then they would walk back. So he kind of studied the stars, really. And I said that he could tell you more about the weather than the meteorologist until now with global warming, you know. But he didn't see too many shipwrecks off of Pope's Island, but there were several on Assateague, and I have a little story about that if you'd like to hear that.
I would.
Now, he wasn't there in Assateague then, on Assateague, but they had a shipwreck, and my father was a young man at that time, and you know how boys' curiosity get the best of them. They wanted to know what happened about this shipwreck. So they got on a little boat and went over to Assateague, and it was a chest that had washed ashore off of the shipwreck. And my father brought that home on his back, of course, on the boat, and on his back to my grandmother's house. And I finally found out my grandmother kept it, and then she gave it to them when they were married. Well, nobody in the family wanted it, but I wanted it, and I got it. So anyway, I finally found out what it was. It was a chest that has a rail at the top. That's where they kept their wines up there, keep from going over. And then they, inside it was sections for the logbooks, you know, and it's beautiful. It really is. I'm trying to think of the antique dealer. She used to be in Hancock. She came to see it and she wanted to buy it. I said, no money can buy that. My father found that on the beach from a shipwreck.
Was it English in design or Spanish? Did they tell you where it was made, or?
No, it doesn't say where it was made, but it was real sturdy because it had been in the water, and the back of it had boards, like, you know, not like nice plywood or anything like that. It had boards in it.
I wonder what year that would have been. Your dad was born in what year?
Oh, my dad, let's see, he was 73 when he retired, and he'd been in the Coast Guard. I can't remember.
So, but he was it maybe back in the 1880s when he found that?
I should have brought that. I have our genealogy home.
But way back.
Yeah.
And that was when Assateague was a peninsula, came down from Maryland, and wasn't it I read up on this, the hurricane of 1933, which I'm sure you remember, cut the channel that turned it into an island.
Yes, and we had to go there by boat, and our church people used to go on picnics by boats and have picnic and go up the lighthouse. And that was one of my favorite things, was going up the lighthouse steps.
Did your mother work?
No, my mother never worked. My mother had 12 children. She had a set of girls and a set of boys, and the boys died at birth, and one of them died, one of the girls. And there was 8 girls left and 1 boy after that. And so he died with brain tumor. So anyway, now it's only 4 girls left.
Any of the girls live on the island?
Only one. I have 2 sisters in the nursing home. One is in a nursing home in Illinois, and one is a nursing home in Alexandria. And my youngest sister is on Chincoteague, and it's me.
Well, you must have had a wonderful life up there. How about those early days? School. Tell us a little bit about your first school.
Well, when it was time to go to school, we had a little schoolhouse that was maybe closest maybe to the road here from where we lived. And so we didn't have a car then. So we called it pay school, and we had one teacher, and she taught from the 1st grade to the 4th grade. And after that, we had to go to the big school, went to the big school.
And how'd you get there?
By bus. Then they had buses then. And most of the time, we had to walk. At first, we had to walk. And it wasn't good in bad weather either when we walked to school. But anyway, I remember we had pictures taken one time at school. And you know, you don't know, but we wore usually black stockings, and we wore long drawers then. The young kids wore long drawers. And so we had pictures taken in front of the school. And I remember this distinctly. I've never forgotten it. When I brought my picture home, I didn't want my mother to buy that picture because I had a hole in my stocking. So anyway, it's
So that was up through grammar school and high school. Did you stay on the island?
yes,
through high
it was
school?
one.
Mhm.
It was one school then on Church Street
Right.
on the island. It was one school,
Right, and you-
grammar,
And you graduated from high school?
high school.
What year was that?
19. I'll tell you, my memory's not too good. 1952, I believe it was,
No, before that, I'll bet you.
or before.
Yeah, oh, sure, because you were, if you're, as you told us, getting up there in years, you must have been born about 19, we born
I was
during?
born 1918.
Yeah, during World War II, maybe, if the war was ending
Yeah,
around then. Yeah,
I
so,
can't think. Now, isn't that something?
well, if you were 18 or so, and it was 1918.
I was 18.
Let's see,
See,
that would be,
we went to the 11th grade and we graduated then. From the 11th,
Yeah,
18
late.
is what it was.
yeah,
And I was in a big family, but we had a good home life. My mother was a wonderful Christian woman, and she was a real mother, a real home mother.
right. Which church did you attend?
Union Church, Union Baptist.
Union Baptist Church.
And my mother, of course, she had a lot of children. She couldn't always go because it was always a baby or somewhere, you know. So anyway, but she always sent us. So before we went to Union, it was a small church closer to us, and it was a part of Union. And so it was called Buell Baptist, and we went there. And that's where I did my first solo.
Oh, well. And what did you sing in church?
And I'll never forget what I sang.
Tell us.
In the land where we never grow old.
All right,
That's what I sang.
How about can you give us a verse or two? Can you sing us a verse?
It's like, there's a land that is fairer than day, and by faith we can see it afar, and something waits
pretty
over
good.
the way.
Good for you. How
That's
about,
not it.
well, it's all right. How
That's
about,
not it. Dr. Bart, you're laughing at me. But anyway, that's all right. Everybody else knows. So,
how about church activities? They have picnics or
yeah, we had
pony rides or what you have?
no, I never had pony rides. I never had pony rides until Clarence Beebe and Miss Ida, you know, the book Misty, you know, they live right up the street from us. And he kept them in the pound. And his daughter and I and my mother would tell me I would dare not to go in that pound and go on those ponies. Well, it caught up with me one day I fell off. So anyway, I was just a normal child. So anyway, that's the only pony ride that I did.
Did you ever meet Marguerite Henry?
No, I didn't, and I always wanted to meet her.
She was the author of Misty.
Yes, and I could have told her something.
Well, can you tell us what you would have told
Well,
her?
well, I don't know, but you know, the first pony pennants that they had there, Grandma Beebe and Grandpa Beebe, as I told you, lived up the street from us. And so the first pony pennants, I remember this, I remember I was 12 years old then. I remember I was 12 years old. And they put wire, like fence wire, down on the water. We were on the waterfront, you know, Main Street, the waterfront, and they fenced that in, and he rounded his ponies. He was the only one that had ponies. So he rounded his ponies up and put them in there. And they had a brick fence in front of their house. And Miss Grandma Beebe put sandwiches and lemonade and sold them there. Well, we were just so delighted because it was close to us, you know. So I remember that first pony picnic that I went to. and it was right at my neighbor's.
Right. How about later on? Pony pennings, did you get out in the water and watch the ponies swim across?
No, I went several times, but not too many times, because see, we didn't have the bridge there, so we had to go by boat. So my mother was real cautious of us girls going, you know. So it wasn't until later, but that's a beautiful sight. It really is. To me, it really is.
Right.
And those little coats, you know, it's a beauty. I just had a wonderful childhood. I really did. I had so many things that people pay for now. My father always had a little boat for us, and we could take a pole and pole it ourselves. We were right smart then. So anyway, we would, in the morning when the tide was down, we would go down to the end of the island where it's built up now, and we would soft crab and bring buckets full of soft crabs home. We'd have a gaff hook, and you would pull back that green moss, you know, and there they would lay big as your hands, you know. Oh, it was so exciting to do that. So we'd bring them home, and then we would have lunch, and the tide would be up. So then we would get in the boat, and we would go hard crabbing, and then we would go swimming.
Wow. What a time. Now, where was that in relationship to Tom's Cove?
Tom's Cove is over on the other side.
Right.
We were on the main street, and that goes all the way down there, and that's built up with trailers and everything down there. But there was nothing down there then. And see, around that bend there was the little bit of ocean from where that is. And that's why it was called Tom's Cove. That was called Tom's Cove at one time.
Right.
And now Tom's Cove is on the other side. And that's where they swim the ponies, you know, abreast of Tom's Cove.
Yeah. Now you mentioned that you had a little boat. Do you ever remember going out in Chincoteague Bay up towards Franklin City?
No,
Did you ever go that
no,
direction?
I never did. No, we were not allowed to go on so far. We didn't have motor or anything like that.
How did you get to the mainland? How did you get to the mainland? Was there a causeway then, a bridge?
Well, mostly, I'll tell you this little story too. This was told to me. The year that I was born, that the channel froze so solid, and see, there was no way of getting off with a boat. And a friend of my father's, he was related some way, anyway, she was visiting on the island, and she became very ill. So they wrapped her in a bed quilt and put her in a horse cart. Now you can imagine how cold it was. That channel was so frozen, they took her to Wisher's Point and put her on a train and took her to Salisbury Hospital. Now, I don't remember that. It was the year I was born, but my father and mother told me about that.
Do you remember the toll road when you had to pay to come to the mainland?
When it was open. But I was young, and I don't remember going uptown, as we called it, to see what was going on, because we didn't have a car. We didn't have a car for a while. We didn't have a car. We walked where we wanted to go. We walked to church and walked to school a lot of times, and it was. I never felt like that I was deprived living there because I didn't know any different.
Did you have electricity?
Have what?
Electricity? Did you have electricity in your home?
Not to begin with, no. I remember when they installed electricity at our house that I was always short and I was young, and they had a stool and we had a pull chain in our dining room. Our kitchen was small. We always ate in the dining room. So they fixed a little block for me. So my mother would say, Virginia, you turn the light on in the dining room. So I would have to get on stool and turn the light on. No, we did not. And we did not have bathrooms for a while. So I know you've heard of serial about catalog. So, you know, that deal. Well, anyway, that's how I came along. But it was I didn't know any different. So I just thought I was lucky and I was happy because I had a good home life.
Where'd you buy your candy?
To the little country store right up the street. And I'll tell you one about that. My father didn't make a lot of money then, you know. So my mother had to be very cautious because she had a big family. So if we want, after school, if we wanted a piece of candy, I call it a piece of candy, then she would give us an egg. She raised chickens, and she would give us an egg. I had run the chicken off the nest a many times to get the egg so I could go to the store. And when they were 5 cents a piece, well, we lucked out. We got a lot of candy for 5 cents.
Bartering. You were bartering on the island.
Yes,
Wonderful.
yes. So it was, and I always thought my mother sewed a lot for us children. She was almost had to with the economy and all. And so I wore hand-me-downs from my older children, sisters, but I never did grumble about that like children do now. You know, they have to have everything just right, just right. I remember I just put it on and wore it, and I was just as happy as I could be. So I feel like that is a part of my longevity.
Right. And also,
I really do.
how about your diet? Maybe that's part of the reason you live so long. Do you eat a lot of seafood?
Yes, we did. Yes.
What did you have at dinner? What was a typical meal?
Well, in the summer, we had either fish or soft crabs or hard crabs. My mother could take hard crab, and you could eat it, and you would never know it was a bone in it, and she would fry them, dip them in an egg and fry them. Well, we would eat them just like peanuts. So, anyway, but we would always, my mother always had her main meal in the morning and at noon. So she always had like a vegetable and a meat, and she would have, very rarely that we had beef, or maybe we would have chicken on Sunday, and then we would have hamburger or something like that. I remember the first hamburger that I had that at Grandma Beebe's house. They had cows too, you know, and he would take them to be butchered. And I was there one evening with their daughter, Alma was their daughter's name, and they wanted me to have a hamburger, and I did. So then I went home and I told my mother that we had to get some hamburger. I remember that, because I thought it was so good. And now we give you a toot for a hamburger.
How about clams and oysters? Were
Yes.
they part of your menu?
Yes, a clam chowder and fried oysters and oyster stew. At night, like most children have a popsicle or something in the evening before they go to bed or sometime. And we didn't. My mother made sauce. You know what sauce is. She made that. I never did like it. I didn't eat it. But I like pig's feet. So we would have crackers and pig feet, and then we'd go to bed. So, and then, this is when Ryan died. So anyway, my brother, he would go out when it was real cold, and we had a rock in front of our house. We owned from the east side to the west side, all the way across. We owned that. My grandmother owned that, and my parents owned this strip of land. So anyway, he would go out and pick oysters up off the rock when the tide was low, and then he would bring them up to the edge of the water line and put them out and of course he couldn't do that now, you know, pollution. And he would go down and he would get a bucket full of those and bring them in. My mother would wash them, put them in the oven, and steam them, and then we would have oysters and crackers. Oyster crackers. Oh, I thought oyster crackers was the most wonderful thing.
You, Virginia, you mentioned chicken. Now, I know that when I visited a long time ago, there were a lot of chicken houses
Yes.
on the island, and there was Chicken something road,
Chicken City.
Chicken City Road.
Chicken City
What do
Road.
you remember about those early?
Well,
Poultry days.
we had one, my cousin and her husband had one not too far from us in a field like it was. And I remember them, they were living upstairs, they lived upstairs, and the chicken house was downstairs, the chickens were downstairs. But they lived upstairs and they took care of the chickens. And so that's what I remember. But I remember it was an awful lot of them, and when people started making a lot of money, it just run it over, you know. So chicken.
Right. How about pigs? Were pigs?
We had pigs at home. My mother had chickens. She grew chickens, and she had a garden. And I never knew my mother to ever use any fertilizer at all. I never heard of fertilizer until I guess I was in school. And one day I remember I was in the 7th grade, and I remember my teacher's name. Her name was Elizabeth Tillman, beautiful woman. And she said she wanted to know how we got our names. Oh, I thought, well, I don't know how I got my name only from my mother and father when I was in 7th grade. So anyway, she said, well, how do you think, she was asking me this, how do you think that I got my name? I said, from Tillman's fertilizer.
Yeah. Did you get a passing grade? Did she give
Oh
you a
yeah,
good grade?
oh yeah, I got passing grade, but she didn't think that was very nice. But anyway, but she was a good
Yeah.
teacher. But
Let me take you back in history a little bit. Do you remember any stories about the Civil War and the Yankee troops coming down and occupying the island?
no,
Did anybody talk about those early days?
my grandmother used to talk about that some, but as a child, I didn't pay too much attention to it, you know. Yeah, as a child, I didn't pay too much attention.
How about the early storms? Because you all were vulnerable up there.
Yes, yes.
Was there was a big tidal wave, I remember reading back in 1821. Do you remember anything about a tidal wave coming across the island?
Well,
That would be 100 years before you.
yeah, it would, no, see. But I remember the worst storm that I remember was the tide came into our home.
Was that 1933?
It was before then.
Okay.
1933 was like a tidal wave. It came so fast, 1933. But the worst storm I went through, the water was coming into the house. So my mother told us to go upstairs. My father was away at the Coast Guard. So, you know, curiosity, we sat on the stair steps because it was up to the 3rd stair step. Our house was low to the ground. We didn't live in a mansion by shore, but we had something to eat, and we had clothes, and we had a good home. And we were very good, I think. I had a good life.
I wonder if anybody lose their life in that storm. Do you remember anybody being lost in any of the storms that came across the island?
Yes. There were some people that were lost. The 33 storm came so fast that my sister was on a Chincoteague, and her son was a baby, and he was upstairs, and the water was coming so high, it came up in his crib. And so she took him out of the crib. In the meantime, she was preparing food for him, milk and all. And she and the baby out of her upstairs window and took him to NASA. And I went up to NASA and brought them down to
Gracious.
my house. Mhm. But this time, this bad one I remember, my mother had pigs then, and she had chickens, and my brother was living, and he was out in the little boat. They were sailing boats all the way around the house. You know, you could sail a boat up and down the street or anywhere. And so he went out and got the chickens and put them, I call on the upper deck of the outbuilding. And he brought the pigs to the back porch. I distinctly remember that. It was so. So anyway, our back porch was like a mud flat when that tide went down. So, and the yard, our yard was just like out on a mud flat. So the health department came up and set up their wares to a little store down from us, and everybody had to go down and take typhoid shots. So we didn't have to leave the island, they came to us.
Were you living on the island when the Good Friday storm of 1961, or had you left the island? You had a big storm up there in 1961 that brought the boats up into town.
Oh yeah, I had left then. I was married in 39.
You were married, so you had left the island.
Yeah, I had left there.
And where did you?
That was the one that I went and got my sister. Because one of my older sisters lived up on the far part of the island, and she said that she had been to the little store because it was a little stormy, and she lived down a little lane. So this older man said to her, he said, "You better hurry and get home." He said, "Something awful is going to happen." She said, "What do you mean?" He said, "It's going to be a terrible storm the way it looks." She said before she got down, halfway down her lane, the water was coming up her lane. It came that fast. And she hurried home and got some things up out of her house. But it didn't come into her house. But it did my younger sister's, and her house was right high off the ground.
Virginia, back in those early days, were there any African Americans on the island?
Yes, my sister is deceased now, one of my oldest sisters. She lived right beside one, and a man and his wife, their last name were Fishers. And then there was another one that lived down from her. They always called her Lottie Glenn, I don't know, but anyway.
Lottie Glenn.
Lottie Glenn, Lottie Glenn, and she was so fashionable. She always wore a hat, you know, everybody knew who Lottie Glenn was. But they were so peaceful, and my sister's neighbor was just, she was just the nicest neighbor, and all of us just loved her. So one day, I'll tell you, this is funny. My mother was at my sister's house, and she slipped, and the neighbor was at my sister's house, and my mother was there too. So my mother slipped, and she fell. And my mother said, "Well, this might have been bye-bye Blackbird." So we've had some great laughs about things, you know, that have really happened.
Well, I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Let's go out hunting for a minute. How about the shooting all the birds and the ducks and the decoys? Can you tell us some stories?
See, my father wasn't home, and see, my brother was in the Coast Guard also. He died when he was in the Coast Guard. But I had family, other family, that shot, you know, ducks. And I know you've heard this story about Mr. Reed. He had the fake decoy, and he shot one, and the game warden came up to him, and he saw him coming, and he put the duck in the decoy. It was made so you could open it. So he put it in the decoy, and the game warden never did know that he had it.
I remember Cigar Daisy.
Yes.
Was a gunner. He did a lot of shooting, and wasn't he a decoy carver?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
And Miles Hancock. We have a picture of Miles Hancock on the wall over here.
He built boats.
Mm-hmm. He also did decoys. Right. So that was way back there.
Yes.
Yeah. We met Miles Hancock. He'd come down to the hospital on occasion, so we
Is that right?
knew Mr. Hancock from way back.
No, our family didn't. We ate a lot of black duck secretly.
Secretly.
Nobody knew it, but maybe two people.
Right. How about the ponies? What do you remember about the ponies, except coming across the water? How did they get to Assateague to begin with?
Well, I think that Grandpa Beebe, it was a shipwreck with ponies over to Assateague. And that's how the few got on Assateague, was from the shipwreck. I know you've read that story, haven't you?
Way back there, yeah.
From a shipwreck.
From a Spanish ship.
Shipwreck. Yeah.
And so now you have, 50,000 people come up for pony penning?
Oh, yes. It's just, I just don't even enjoy going anymore. I didn't even go. I think last year was the first year I never went to pony penning and to see the pony swim. But I wasn't real well, so I didn't venture out.
Was there a Piney Island?
Piney Island is close to where they call Tom's Cove now.
Right.
Piney Island it's Tom's Cove where they swim the ponies across, and Piney Island is a little north of that. And the property is just humongous prices.
Are they building
It's really
condominiums?
Beautiful. They haven't built condominiums yet, but they've built, not on Piney Island, but they have on Chincoteague at one place. And they have, what bothers me is that they have ruined our waterfront with motels. They've ruined the history of the island by the motels, because a lot of, we enjoyed sitting on the front porch. That was our enjoyment, you know. And at night we would see the lighted boats going out to Tom's Cove, to the front, like I told you, with their lights on, you know, in the summertime. And it was real entertainment to us, you know. And how the people the fishermen with fishing boats would come in, but the people don't have that view anymore. And they built so many docks out there, and it's really changed it. It's changed it. It's changed the whole island has changed. A lot of people would never dream that it was like it was. They would never dream it was like that.
You brought some notes with you here.
Well, let me see what I had that I said.
What you might mention.
I told you about that, about the woman going in the horse and cart. I want to tell you that. Oh, my oldest sister did go on a boat to Franklin City to be married. That's why she went on a boat to be married to Franklin City. But she's the only one that I know that left to.
I remember back when the railroad came south, I think it came down to Franklin City.
Yes.
10 or 15 years before it came way down on the eastern shore. You know, you could take a boat from Chincoteague up to Franklin City.
Then it came from Franklin City, it came down to Wisher's Point, I guess, because that's where they took the woman. I guess somebody in a car. Maybe she didn't ride the train. Maybe somebody took her in a car. But
can you tell me about the doctors who were on the island when you were there?
Yeah, I'll tell you about the doctor that delivered me. My mother told me that of course, she had all her children at home. And it was Dr. Burwell was the family doctor, and he delivered all of the babies. So my mother he came in, she said, and she thought that she needed the attention because she was having the baby. And he was admiring some of the pictures that was on the wall. So, after that, she didn't favor Dr. Burrell too much because she didn't think he gave her too much attention. But he was the only. And then there was Dr. Lee Kikes was there.
The name I
Do
remember.
you remember?
No, he was before my time, but I have heard of him.
Dr. Lee Kikes,
Right.
yeah, he was, see, I remember him.
Do you
for-
remember Dr. Shelley?
Well,
Or he
see,
left,
I knew he was there,
Right.
but it was another one there that I didn't go to. But of course, I was,
You were so healthy.
I was grown up then. I was healthy, yes. Healthier than I am now, Dr. Bernard. I remember we didn't have any air conditioning in our house, of course, then. And it wasn't until later years that we even had a fan. So we had church fans, you know. We'd go to sleep. And when we would get hot, we would just go ahead and take our pillow and get down on the floor to the window, and we'd sleep there all night. And I've thought about that a lot of times, and I've thought to myself, well, if I got down on the floor now, I'd never get up next morning.
Yeah, I'm having that problem. That's funny, yeah.
So, but I think that I had it in here about Dr. Burwell, was my mother's doctor.
Virginia, going back to the seafood business for a minute. My partner, Dr. William Burton,
Oh, yes.
from Chincoteague, his father, Clarence, had that
Yeah,
Burton,
Woolsey.
Burton seafood
Uh-huh.
business up there.
Yeah.
That was,
Well, that was good because it helped the economy. He hired a lot of people, you know, by having that. And so.
and he was in the movie Misty,
Yes.
Clarence Burton, down on the
He was a
dock.
character.
Yes, yes.
Always
I
smoked a cigar.
I remember him, yes.
Yeah, always good. And his wife, I remember Esther too. I remember more about Esther. And that was a nice family. But they died young. You know, the family just died off young. So it's not too many, as my father used to say, it's not too many old heads there now. It really is not. And my youngest sister, she will ask me things. And she said, well, I don't remember that. I said, but you were too young to listen to what was being told, for one thing, you know. But I was my grandmother, she would tell us things, you know, about the older people. And I always liked old people. That's why why young people don't like old people. But I did. We had, my grandmother, she smoked a pipe. And I used to love to go over there and smell that pipe. She would put it on back of the stove.
You don't have a picture of her, do you? With the pipe?
My older sister took all of our pictures and she had them. And her son has them, and he won't give them up. And it grieves me so. It really, really does. So I went over there one day. She didn't like for the grandchildren to visit her too much because she didn't like for us to see her smoking a pipe. So we went in unexpectedly, and she put the pipe in her apron pocket. She always wore an apron. So pretty soon we saw smoke coming, and we said, Granny, we called her Granny, your apron's on fire. She said, you children get out of here. You children get out of here.
Virginia, you were talking about the changes on the island and the buildings close to the water and the condos and
Yes.
all of this development. The last time that I drove over to Chincoteague, there were even more billboards on the
That grieves me
north
so.
side of the causeway.
That grieves me. I mentioned that we were over Chincoteague last Sunday, and I told Sam when we were going over, I said, this grieves me to see all these billboards here. It just takes, and I had a friend that visited me, and when they had these, a lot of these fishing boats docked in there, you know, she just thought it was so pretty going up there. She said, oh, this looks like a little fishing village. And it did, you know. But of course, I had them take them away. They can't dock there anymore.
Yeah.
So and everything is just going so modern that,
You have any comments about the new bridge that's going up north on Maddox Boulevard, is that right?
really, it really doesn't bother me that much because I don't live there. It bothered my family that lived there. They thought that it would bother the economy of the town, you know. But it really is a must. It really is a must for safety. It really is. And of course, everybody get used to it and everything wears out. And I was at my niece's house a couple years ago for pony pinning. And this guy that works at NASA, we were talking about the bridge. And some, of course, were opposing it, and some was for it. And he said, if you could see under that the way what I have seen, and he was a Chincoteague native. He was a fairly young man, and he had been under that. He said, you wouldn't grumble, you would be glad. He said, I just pray when I go across that bridge that it's going to be all right. It's so bad underneath. Mm-hmm. And so do I now. When I get back over, I say, thank you, Lord. I made one myself.
So you'll have a new bridge in a couple of years.
That's what they say.
Yeah. Well, when I cross that bridge, I either go to one of those ice cream parlors on Maddox Boulevard or shoot right over to Assateague and visit the Herb Bateman Wildlife.
Isn't that wonderful?
Oh, it's a tremendous addition to the
isn't
island.
it? And I was over there when they were expecting the bald eagle to be born, and I was just so excited about that. So my granddaughter visited me, and I wanted to take her over there. And I didn't know that they had done a video of that. Did you see the video?
Last year, I did.
Last year you saw it. And I was so happy that they did the video of that. I said, oh, I'm so glad. I thought that was wonderful.
Do you remember big birds when you were there ospreys and eagles around when you were growing up?
Well, it was right many eagles. It really was. But I really didn't pay too much attention to them. You know, when you're young, you're always looking at the boys.
It's old folks' game, watching the birds.
Yeah, you watch birds. I do too now more.
Yeah.
But it's not, see, they had to limit people what they could do over there because of the birds. You know, it bothers the nesting. And have you ever taken the drive before you go to the Herb Bateman Museum and taking it all the way around? Have you ever taken that?
Yeah, I've walked it.
Oh, did you walk it?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh, you walked
Saw
it.
those little spotted deer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Sika.
Oh, the deer, they are so dear, but they're so mean.
When did they arrive on the island?
I had no idea. I don't know what to tell you.
Do you remember them when you were a child?
Not so many. We would see one now and then, but now there's just dozens, and they're running around just like dogs, you know. And they really are small ones, but the bigger ones will stay over kind of in the marshes, you know, a lot.
Mm-hmm. With the ponies.
Yes, But I still call going home. But our home had been sold, of course, and we had nice waterfront. But they haven't put a house or anything in front of our house. And my grandparents owned a strip of land along there. So the brothers and sisters, she gave each one a lot. Well, it wasn't too much of a lot, because I guess she wanted all of them to have a house built on it, you know. So now some of them, they had built in front of theirs. They had been resold, and they had built places and put long docks, you know, on the, and it just grieves me when I say that.
So the house you were born in is still there?
Yes, The
My
house,
gracious. I wonder how old it was when you were born. Did your dad build the house or had it?
yeah, by pieces, and it was right beside my grandmother's house, and my grandmother's house still stands there. It has been resold, of course. My sister, older sister, bought it, and they did a little remodeling to it, but I think it's been sold twice.
Well, let me just ask you this, talking about old houses. Seems to me I remember there were a number of major fires on Chincoteague.
Oh,
Do you remember anything about the fires?
I've seen pictures of the fires, but I don't remember. That was when I was very young. It was a department store that burned down. That's when they took water by buckets, you know, to put the fire out. And then they had another bad fire. I don't know whether you've read the news, Eastern Shore News or not this week. Showard Brothers, after they were downtown, and they went into that place that was burned, but not the first place. I can't remember the name of that. That was the one that I remember them telling about, having lanterns, you know, out on the street, lanterns so they could see, and they had they had old fire engine that they pushed, but not very much water, because we didn't have water, fire hydrants or anything then, yeah. So they put that out by buckets.
So they pushed the fire, the fire engine or the
They
tanker?
pushed it. They pushed it.
Horses didn't pull it, or?
I think it's one picture that I have seen, that horses. But see, it wasn't many horses
Right.
there.
So as a result of these fires and what you're describing to us, we get the modern fire department, which is in good part
Yeah.
funded by the Pony Penny.
That's right.
Pony Penny's provided a lot of money, so that the island obviously is much, much safer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I remember going into Showard Brothers maybe 15 years ago and buying a hammer. I don't know why I bought a hammer up there. Bought a hammer from Ralph Jones.
Ralph Jones.
And he-
Ralph is deceased now, and he sold it. And so the story goes in the paper. I didn't even know it had been sold. And he sold it. Ralph sold it. He had got bad health. He was there for 20-some years. And then this guy had to retire.
And he's right.
And now it's a T-shirt. It said, they were selling T-shirts. I can't imagine a T-shirt being sold in Showard Brothers. But they still had the sign that said, so the paper said. They still had the sign of it, Showard Brothers. And they were lovely people. The Showard men were really, Mr. Charles Showard. They were such genteel people, you know, they really were. And it's just that, not that people aren't good, but they're different. It's the times that we're living in, you know.
Yeah. Was the Channel Bass restaurant, was that been there for many years, that big
Yes.
restaurant?
Yeah, see, the Winders run that, Channel Bass. It was lodging and a restaurant. They first started it with lodging, Channel Bass, and then they opened a restaurant there. And so it's still open now, but I've never been in there. I think they sell exotic wines and, you know, and all that. And I don't drink,
Right.
so I drink plenty of water.
Well, here's to you. One item I missed that I want to go back to Assateague for a minute is the Assateague Lighthouse. Did you ever climb it?
Yes,
Or-
that was our recreation when we went on a picnic. We went clear up to the top. And at one time, see, it got real bad and they would not allow anybody to go in. But now they're allowing them to go in, but I don't think they go to the top.
How many steps? Do you remember?
Oh, it's about 37. There were little narrow steps. I was afraid the first time I climbed it. Imagine me being afraid, but I have been afraid.
Well, do you have any other stories for us before we conclude our
Well, I
This
haven't told you
delightful
too
interview.
much, but I'll give you a good laugh.
Well, Virginia, you've done a wonderful job. Brought us up to date with Chincoteague, and I certainly look forward to being with you, and thank you for coming to the Barrier Island Center and
Well, thank
talking
you.
about the old times. And give Sam a hug for me,
I
will you,
will,
when you get home?
He's not well today. He's not walking well at all, and he sleeps a lot.
Mhm.
But I think his blood pressure medicine makes him do that.
Well,
So, but anyway, we're still together, and
that's what counts. Thank you.
that's what counts.